fellow Toastmaster, all right, something. By a show of hands, curious, who was here and living in either Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra before the pandemic? Raise your hand. And I'd ask if you could keep your hands up. How about, by a show of hands, who was here whenever the Super Bowl was hosted in Jacksonville? How about when it snowed in Jacksonville, were you living here? So for those who've kept your hands up, and also I would give it to the kids as well, you may consider yourself a lifelong resident or a native. For me, I consider myself a 98% native. You see, my parents, they retired after they had me, moved to Jacksonville, and I've lived here ever since. Raised in a Catholic school. When the Pope came to Denver in 1993, I had the opportunity to ride in a bus all the way to Denver and back. But one Sunday morning, my parents woke me up, and I was given a choice to chart my path. You can go to church, or you could sleep in. What do you think the choice was? My goal today is to help give you a little bit of introduction to me. I'm going to be giving a series of speeches in the upcoming opportunities that will tie into some of what I hope you take from this discussion today. Part of my growth and in charting my path, when I had an opportunity to leave from home, I ended up moving out to the beach. I lived the beach lifestyle, biked around, ran, and definitely enjoyed the party scene. And in 2005, when Jacksonville hosted the Super Bowl, I had the opportunity somehow to end up at a retreat that changed the course of my life. And I would say somebody was charting my path, but it wasn't me. Fast forwarding a little bit and having a little bit of fortitude, in 2009, I started my own men's group at St. Paul's at the Beach. I met my beautiful wife shortly after, and we ended up moving to San Marco and never looked back at the beach. 2020 came, COVID, the pandemic. I got a call from somebody who said, hey, would you like to start up another men's group? And we were able to start up a men's group at our church. And that group has been going on, along with me having the opportunity to start developing study guides for our men's group at church. Again, I share all that to give you a little bit of insight towards me. And if there was something I would want you to take away from today about me, is my identity. I'm spiritual in nature, I'm involved in my church, and I've been looking at as much as I can to be able to try to help develop a spiritual base for my ministry. Where I want to leave us in closing is a situation that came up for me last year. I ended up getting involved with this leadership group, and before the group had started, I got into that idea of how is it that I'm going to introduce myself? If I said, hey, my name's Daryle Bernard, do I want to tell you that I have a corporate gig where I've been responsible for billions of dollars that have come into this bank, and that I've also been responsible for technology developments that have been important for us to stay regulatory? That doesn't mean much unless I'm stroking my ego or if I'm in the four walls of my company. But outside of work, that's not who I want you to remember me by. And we're all faced with that opportunity. When we're outside of the walls of this room of Toastmasters, or if we're outside of the four walls of our work where we need to talk about our accomplishments, how do we really identify ourselves? So I'm going to leave everybody, and I only printed 18 of these things, so I apologize. I didn't know we were going to have a big room. But this guy that I know, his name is the Mad Sower, said, far too often we get caught into our business identity that our real self, our passions, and identity don't get shared with others that may lead to memorable interactions. Meaning too far we get caught up into our accomplishments at work and what we do, and oftentimes people don't pay attention. So with that, I want to leave you with this question. When you go to identify yourself and you meet somebody, how would you want to identify yourself? The best news, we all have the ability to chart our own course and answer that question. Toastmasters, thank you.